People of YouTube, I have returned once again victorious. Like I was saying before, I'll probably do reports on the weekends and whenever I can. It is now August 19th, Saturday afternoon. Lots going on. This is what happens when you try to hold a free speech rally in America today. So you want free speech, somehow that's offensive to some of these people. Older woman holding American flag hit, dragged in Boston. Disgusting. Let's take a look at this despicable act.
If the viewers watching right now, take a look at what happens to this woman who is holding an American flag. She's holding an American flag, and a protester comes to her, drags her along there, pulls her anyway. Let's watch this. You can see her flag wound up on the ground. And this is the kind of thing that we hate to see in these protests. I mean, this is where it starts to take that really horrendous turn. And then we're looking at the people, Buck, that you cited earlier as being the anarchists.
I was just going to say, first of all, that's assault, what just happened there. So you already have people that think that they're able to violate the free speech rights of others and break the law. You can't grab something out of someone's hand and drag them along on the ground. That's their property, and that's assault. And then you also did catch a glimpse of what would be...
She's clearly upset.
Clearly upset. Of course, anyone would be. She's holding up an American flag in Boston. You would think that this should be...
Christy,
people should be coming by giving her a high five. Instead, they're pulling her on the street.
On the ground now. Christy, your thoughts on all of this as it unfolds?
I believe that there is a tremendous danger here in making false equivalencies between. I think we're in danger of doing the same thing that, frankly, the president got in trouble on Tuesday for doing, which is by saying that there's violence on many sides.
Now, I was so enraged by this. I had a hard time holding back my emotion. And realistically, it's about time these people be held accountable for their actions. It is a deliberate destruction of the Western Empire and a deliberate communist overthrow of our republic. Now, people can say as they wish. I pray every day, many times, and although God would guide us towards the light, we have the capability to defend ourselves. Therefore, we have the responsibility to protect ourselves by any means necessary. And when it comes to words, words alone are not enough. For we study history, we know how the Renaissance was formed. We know how America was formed. In the fires and the forges of combat, we know how true freedom is forged. And it's not with words alone, it's with a sword in hand. So, having said that, it's about time we win this war once and for all. Protect yourselves, protect your families. An Antifa protester has just admitted what we all suspected, or should I say, what we all knew. Antifa protester Yvette Falarka has just admitted in their belief system, violence against the far right is not a crime. So the hypocritical left, once again, at it. Daily Caller reported Yvette Falarka, the Berkeley area school teacher and militant left-wing protester responsible for organizing the riot at the University of California, Berkeley in February of 2017, claims that violence against the far right is not a crime. Falarka, who belongs to, by any means necessary, a far-left group, is currently facing assault charges after she was caught on video assaulting a white supremacist during a July 2016 rally in Sacramento, California rather. The school teacher and her compatriots engaged in violent clashes against members of the far-right Traditional Workers' Party, which had a permit to march in the city. The violence between the two groups resulted in a number of assaults and multiple stabbings. In July of 2017, police charged Falarka with assault by means of force likely to inflict great bodily injury, participating in a riot, and inciting a riot. And this is a quote-unquote professor at Berkeley. Can you imagine? Completely psychotic. Demons in human skin. As reported by Huffington Post on Wednesday during her arraignment, Falarka described her actions as a form of self-defense and therefore not a crime. Standing up against fascism and the rise of Nazism and fascism in this country is not a crime, she added. We have the right to defend ourselves. So they have the right to defend themselves as they're attacking other people, yet it's self-defense. See the circular logic and the hypocrisy of the left? It's overwhelming, their lack of IQ. Falarka previously justified her actions to Al Jazeera, well, that figures. She stated that neo-Nazis were organizing to attack and kill us, so we have a right to self-defense. That is why we have to shut them down by any means necessary. Organizing to attack and kill us. That's oh, these people, I don't know where they live, but it is not planet Earth. The activist made similar statements during her appearance on Tucker Carlson's Tonight, where she described conservative firebrand Milo Yiannopoulos as a fascist and urged others across the United States to organize mass violence against people like Yiannopoulos to shut them down. Falarka is next scheduled to appear in court on October 4th. And I can imagine whatever lifestyle she had, whether it was comfortable or not, is about to change quite drastically. Let's take a look. Boom. Cops finally push back at commies and anti-free speech advocates. It truly is disgusting, the amount of people they can get to rally around communism. Communism claimed hundreds of millions of lives in the past 200 years. Yet you still get these young fools educated by our broken system to think that Stalin was some sort of hero and that communism will save them from the greatest country on earth. Like it's very strange. Very, very strange. Breaking news. Boston law enforcement officials use force to move back #free speech rally protesters. If you can even believe it, we live in a time where the truth is now stranger than fiction. Let's take a look.
Especially his new chief of staff, retired General John Kelly.
You know, it's worth pointing out, Doug, as we're watching, it appears as though the police riot lines are moving a little bit there in Boston, and sometimes that's what they do is the police come out and try to grab some of the agitators in this crowd. A lot of times they have undercover officers inside these crowds identifying exactly the people Doug was talking about.
We're hearing from some of our producers on the ground, as you mentioned, that some of the original free speech, self-described conservatives that were on the stage that have now been removed, or not, they've removed themselves off the stage. It's as if law enforcement officers are actually trying to put them on wagons and remove them from that scene. Whether or not that's because that's just the sheer number of counter-protesters, it's that they obviously are trying to prevent any violence. We're working to get our reporter on the phone, as you can imagine. It's fairly hard to get a signal out at this time, but that's sort of the word that we're getting. And when we spoke with Ed Davis earlier, that law enforcement was prepared to do anything possible to prevent violence, whether or not that was remove people from the scene, whether or not that was...